right, welcome back to Acts chapter 10, this great story about the angel's appearance to Cornelius. It doesn't say here that Cornelius was in prayer at the time when the angel appeared to him, and this was clearly an open vision. That is, a closed vision would be if you have your eyes closed and then you see this vision, but this was eyes wide open because in verse number 4, and fixing his gaze, that's Cornelius, his gaze on him, that's the angel, and being much alarmed, he said, "What is it, Lord?" And he said to him, the angel said to Cornelius, "Your prayers and alms have ascended as a memorial before God." And so this was a Gentile whom God was paying attention to, right? How else can you interpret that verse? He was one who for a long time had been giving alms to poor Jewish people. He prayed to God continually, and God wasn't just ignoring him. He feared God, so he's obeying his commandments. So of course he has the Lord's attention. Of course, that's why God sent the angel to him, and that's why God connected him to Peter, because he wanted him to know more of the truth. But can you see that God is inclined toward those who are seeking him? And God knows the conditions of everyone's hearts, whether they're coming closer, getting further away, or just staying the same. All right? And so, like Peter, it's great to be a part of that process. If God sent an angel to Cornelius, I assume God could have had that angel tell Cornelius what he had Peter told Cornelius, but he's left the preaching of the gospel up to us. And so we need to say, "Lord, send us across the path of receptive people. Connect us to people whose hearts are opening." Okay. So your prayers and alms have ascended as a memorial. God has remembered you because you are doing things that are pleasing to him. And I asked the question, I'm going to ask it again just to throw it out there. If Cornelius had died at that moment, would God have said, "Well, your prayers and memorials have ascended to me. You feared God. You influenced others to fear God. You cared for the poor. And even though I said, to the extent that you've done it to the least of these, my brethren, you've done it unto me, that doesn't apply to you. And so to hell with you." Is that possible that God would have said that to him? I just find it hard to believe that. I believe that there's some reason for us to at least ask this question. Was Cornelius, in as good a standing as he could possibly be at that moment with God, based upon what God had revealed to him? Okay? Something to think about. So he tells him what to do, the angel. Verse 5, "Now dispatch some men to Jappa and send for a man named Simon, who is also called Peter." We all know who that is. "He is staying with a tanner named Simon, whose house is by the sea." When the angel who was speaking to him had left, he, that's Cornelius, summoned 2 of his servants and a devout soldier, one of those guys apparently who he probably influenced, of those who were his personal attendants. And after he had explained everything to them, he sent them to Jappa. So he told them about this amazing open vision of the angel and what the angel told him to do. And, obviously Cornelius was totally convinced, and he was totally convincing. And on the next day, verse number 9, as they were on their way and approaching the city, so it took them some time. Remember, he had this vision around the 9th hour, around 3 p.m. I said to you previously that the distance between Caesarea, where Cornelius was, and Jappa, where Peter was like 25 to 30 miles. I checked on a map in between our takes here. I'm going to say it's closer to 40 miles. Okay, so that's a good journey. They probably started that late afternoon or that evening, made some progress, stopped for the night. The next day, continued their journey to get there the next day, and they tracked down Peter at Simon's place. Okay. And verse number 9, on the next day, as they were on their way and approaching the city, Peter went up on the housetop about the 6th hour to pray, around noontime. But he became hungry and was desiring to eat, but while they were making preparations, he fell into a trance, and he saw the sky opened up, and an object like a great sheet coming down, lowered by 4 corners to the ground, and there were in it all kinds of 4-footed animals and crawling creatures of the earth and birds of the air. A voice came to him, "Get up, Peter, kill and eat." But Peter said, "By no means, Lord, for I have never eaten anything unholy or unclean." Again, a voice came to him a second time, "What God has cleansed, no longer consider unholy." This happened 3 times, and immediately the object was taken up into the sky. We'll read the next verse. Peter didn't understand. What is this all about? Why would God ever want me to be eating foods that I've never eaten my entire life out of obedience to God? Because it's clear as day in the Old Testament law that there are certain foods which God forbade his people from eating. They were called the unclean animals, and they were defined by their hooves and by their chewing of the cud and so forth. You read all about it in the Pentateuch. All right, that's not important to us. But again, Peter is really scratching his head over this. What does this mean? He doesn't understand what's going on. He's being set up, though, in a marvelous way, because the messengers from up in Caesarea are just about ready to arrive at his house, and it's going to become clear what this is all about. And those words which were spoken to him, "What God has cleansed, no longer consider unholy," encapsulated in that is the crux of this new revelation that's, coming to Peter, and which it's going to come to the church, and it's going to be a big issue, because Gentiles were unholy, unclean. Jewish people avoided them, did not interact with them, only when absolutely necessary. To eat with them would be a great, scandal. Okay, and Peter's about to go do that under the orders of God. All right, so this is a cliffhanger, but I'll see you next time.
HeavenWord 7 is made possible by the financial support of viewers like you. Thank you.